everyone, and welcome back to Simon Scott Assembly Hall for the second round game of the NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Championships in Bloomington, Indiana. Congratulations to Miami on advancing, and best of luck on Monday. A reminder that Miami's open locker room portion will run simultaneously with today's press conference from 1:25 to 1:55 p.m. If you are joining us in the room, remember to state your name and affiliation before asking your question. And if you are joining us on Zoom, please use the raise your hand function, and we will get to you if time allows. First at the dais, we are joined by student athletes, sophomore Jasmine Roberts and senior Lola Pendande. Please raise your hand in the room, and we'll get you a mic.
Seth Tao at the Daily Hoosier. This for either of you, just coming off such a emotional win like you had yesterday with that big comeback. How do you kind of regroup and reset and get ready to play one of the best teams in the country?
Well, obviously we were really excited about the win last night and being able to come back. So we just have to refocus and get ready for the game on Monday or tomorrow. And so we watch film, and we're gonna go to practice and just come up with a game plan and get ready and lock in for tomorrow.
Lola, do you have anything to add?
No, just going off of what she said, we're on to the next day, on to the next game. We're focused. We want to play hard and win the game, so we're locked in.
Mike Merritt from Associated Press. I think you were in a similar situation last year, getting through the first round, and then I think you played South Carolina. What kind of lessons do you take out of that experience that you can use tomorrow night?
I would say we just have to have each other's back, believe in the game plan, believe in what the coaches brought us here for. Like you said, we've been here before, and it's not new. We just have to play hard.
Jasmine, anything to add?
Yeah, Lola said it great. We have experience from last year, and so we know what it takes to, compete against a great team like that. And so we just have to come locked in from the start and, not fall behind like we did last night. But I feel like now, since we're comfortable, we've played last night, so we know what it feels like we got our jitters out, so we're ready for tomorrow.
Talia Goodman, Hoosier Network. Indiana, one of the best teams in the country. What do you see as the biggest challenge in facing them tomorrow?
They're a great team, like you said, but it's just another game. We just have to go out there, play hard. We've been in situations like this before. We've won against great teams like Virginia Tech. This is another challenge, and I think we can overcome it.
Jasmine, anything to add?
Piggybacking off her, what she said, we've played great teams before. We played in a great conference where every game was tough. So we know we've competed against great teams, and we know what it takes to beat a great team, and they are a great team. So I feel like our defense is going to be, what we focus on a lot, and I think that we're ready to do that.
Ed Holdaway with Hammond Communications. Ladies, Coach said yesterday that when she came in the locker room, you guys were already really talkative and really kind of working through what happened in the first half. Can you kind of take us inside the locker room and how that started, and was it, and just walk us through the emotions of the locker room at halftime, and then obviously it turns into a win for you guys?
Yeah. When we went in at halftime, I think everyone gave positive feedback. We knew what to fix, and it wasn't super big adjustments. It was just stop this person one-on-one, box this person out. There weren't huge adjustments we made. We just all played a lot harder, more aggressive. We played a lot more like a team. So we were all pretty much on the same page about what we needed to fix. And when Coach came in, she was like, all right, what y'all fix? And we were like, this, and this. So, we already communicated really well. We all agreed with what we needed to do. And so that's why we came out in the third quarter and we fixed it.
Lola, anything to add?
Nope.
Hi, Mike Merritt again. Just out of you look at Indiana's team. They've got Mackenzie Holmes and they've got a bunch of three-point shooters. Is there a team that you've played maybe once or twice this year, even in your conference, that sort of mirrors what you're going to see tomorrow night?
Yeah, Virginia Tech, they have King, they have Amore, they have a big that's really good, Kidley. So, like I said, we beat them before, so we've been in this situation before. We have to play hard, we have to follow the game plan, and just go out there and play hard.
What she said.
Ladies, we talked to your coach last night. This is Greg Campbell with Indiana. You only got 6 points from your bench last night, but Coach made the point that the points may not have given the whole story on what the bench did for you. Can you talk a little bit about what those girls coming off the bench have done for you? And Lola, we'll start with you.
I think our bench does great every single game, and that's something that I am the coaches did a great job recruiting because we played 10 players. If I don't have a good night, I know Kyla's gonna come up and show up for me, and vice versa. And I think our bench they play or not play, we do a great thing as a team because we're a great team, and is play for each other, win for each other, be happy for each other, and we have each other's back at all times.
Jasmine, anything to add?
Yeah, our bench is great. I mean, all the games we've won is because the bench, they come in, play great defense or, give us a spark off the bench. You have Shay, Hannah, Z. Everyone just comes off the bench, everybody knows their role and, what they're in to do. So even though they only scored 6 points last night, defensively, though, that's why we made the run because our defense and, rebounding and whatever else they could have done. So, I mean, the bench is why we win.
Anything else in the room for the student athletes? Does anyone on Zoom have a question? If so, use the raise your hand function. If not, ladies, thank you for joining us, and you may join your teammates in the room for the remainder of the open locker room period.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coach Meyer's press conference will start at 1:45. We're now joined at the dais by Miami head coach Katie Meyer. Coach, if you could make an opening statement, and then we'll take questions.
Yeah, you know what? We're really thrilled to be preparing today. Great opponent, great atmosphere, unbelievable crowd. Like, shout out to the growth of the program and how much work Terry's put in to build this program. I have tons of respect for her. We battled a really nice game in Atlanta, in the Bahamas last year, after the game, it was like two coaches that just really admired each other, like tons of compliments for each other. I told her late game stuff is great. She was like, "No, I love yours," and it was like, "Let's get together next and sometime." I mean, she's special. She's very, very good, and I love the way her teams play. So we're excited. It'll bring out the best in us.
We'll take questions from the room or Zoom. Use the raise your hand function, or raise your hand in the room and we'll get you a microphone.
Hi there, Coach. Mike Merritt from Associated Press. Could you talk a little bit about the challenges that Indiana poses in terms of Mackenzie Holmes in the post and their perimeter game?
Right. They just score. You know, they're a really prolific scoring team. I mean, almost 18 assists a game, which for us is that threatens us. Okay, the fact that there's a team that will share the ball that much and can get that many assists in a game is very difficult to defend, no matter what your defensive style is. Teams that'll share the ball, that makes them great. And so we got to figure out a way to invite them to do something differently, and we're going to try our best to do that. But the last year in this same situation you all referenced, and we were at South Carolina. And they were a team that was okay with the game being a little bit low scoring. So even though we've been in this situation before, to be at such a really, really great, mature ball-sharing team is a different challenge and really just as difficult.
Seth Tao at the Daily Hoosier.
Hi.
With Grace Berger specifically, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously she's just really good at getting to her
Yeah.
spots and finding those shots. Is there a player that you've gone up against this season that's kind of similar to her that can kind of give you a sense of what you need to do against
Well,
her?
Dwayne Wade, when he played for the Heat, I mean, when he wanted his pull-up, he got it. And I mean, she's really that good. She's so efficient. Take away her pull-up, okay. I mean, that's easier said than done. So she's very, very poised, very balanced, incredibly athletic in terms of the lightness of her feet. So, she can get a shot off pretty easily. And if she's determined to do something, you better have a lot of determination to stop her because she's pretty determined.
You kind of referenced this yesterday, but you've seen where teams come back from those kinds of deficits and they run out of steam at the end because of the energy level. Mm-hmm. Do you worry about taking something, having to come back like you did last night and running out of energy going in, or what do you do to try and avoid that?
I was going to say, I'm worried about not getting in that deficit. That's for sure. You can't do that 2 nights in a row and get away with it. But we really, literally, one of the reasons we were kind of calm at halftime and didn't make a lot of adjustment is because when you grade the efficiency of some of the looks that we got offensively, I was fine with them. I mean, you saw a lot of, maybe we were a little rushed in the first quarter, but the second quarter, we did what Miami needed to do, but we weren't able to get into our multiple defenses because that little round thing wasn't going in the big round thing for us. So we couldn't switch up our defenses. And if we're able to score a little bit, that'll help us. And if we're held scoreless, it'll hurt us.
Talia Goodman, Hoosier Network. Yesterday at halftime, what was the vibe kind of like in the locker room? Who was speaking up? Who was saying what? Was it we don't have to switch anything? We're doing good, or what?
Yeah.
Was
No, it literally was. It was very. I did a quick formula for him. I said, okay, 2 bank threes and a bank 2 of the scout. They did 4 things that put it on the coaches, and I'm always fine with that. Like, if you can blame the coaches and the players are happy, then keep them happy. But they did their job on the scouting report, but there was 10 points that they got when we were doing the right thing. And then there were 12 points that we missed doing the right thing. So maybe the best adjustment I did was to just stay calm and say, believe in what we're doing, but you have to play better than this. And they played this much better than this on the defensive end, and they played a lot better on the offensive end. And, then our faith reappeared. But, boy, if I had pulled the plug and changed the scheme, I think we would have lost by 30. The players did not want a lot of adjustments. They wanted someone to just believe in them and say, do what you're doing, but do it better.
Coach, Greg came with Indiana. We talked about Grace Berger on the other side, but how important is it to have somebody like Destiny Harden who, Chicago's a different style of basketball, to have her out on the court maybe to match up against some people like Grace as you kind of move along?
Well, I think Destiny and Jasmine Roberts, who was up here, I think their shot charts give us a chance. It's what they're hunting, what I think is a good matchup for us, where their spots are in each particular game, and if you really study them, it changes. It changes based on what we think and what we see the other team doing defensively. So those two are pretty special for us. And then combined, if they kind of play the same position or split minutes a little bit, you're going to get a double-double on every night from that position. So I think that's one of our keys.
Do we have anything else in the room for Coach? If anyone on Zoom has a question, use the raise your hand function now, please. If not, Brian.
Brian Henson with Indy Star. The girls mentioned comparing Indiana to Virginia Tech. Do you see similarities between the two teams, or do you think that IU compares maybe more similarly to another team that you faced this season?
We got a little taste of the Big Ten when we played Michigan. I thought Michigan played extremely well against us, but that stylistically, I see a lot of the grit in the defensive end, a lot of the discipline that both of those teams share. But recently, I would say, Virginia Tech, just shot makers in every position, and everybody warrants extra attention. You know what? If you're really good, all right. If you're a good player, you got 2 eyes on you. If you're really good, we take half of everyone else's eyes, and maybe you got 6 eyes, 4 eyes. But there's a lot of people that deserve more than 2 eyeballs on them to try to stop them. That reminds me of Virginia Tech.
In terms of atmosphere, environment, does playing in Assembly Hall, what you're going to see tomorrow night, is it similar to teams, places that you've played?
Yeah, luckily our conference prepares us for that. I think, and even the ACC tournament, and we at NC State's always, we've played in front of big crowds. But I hope there's a big crowd. It's huge. Congratulations for this support. It's awesome.
Have you seen that grow over the years? Just getting some of those hostile environments on the
women's side.
It's amazing.
It's amazing, and I think there's a certain extra passion. I'm not going to say why, but I just feel like people feel really connected, a little bit more personal, to be a fan of a team that's so accessible and makes themselves available. And I just feel across the country that we tend to do that a little bit more on the women's side than the men's side. And so the fans have a little extra heart into the cheering. It's not just to wear the T-shirt, but it's because they feel like they know Grace Berger or they know, Destiny Harden, and I think that's really important. I think it's something that women's basketball coaches, we are charged with. I take it very seriously. We have to be inviting, accessible, available, and promote. And I think Terry does it, and I know I do it.
You talked about Virginia Tech before, and I know Lola mentioned Kitley particularly. Obviously, she's different. She and Mackenzie Holmes are different players, but just having gone up against another big who's one of the best in the country, and having beaten that team earlier in the season, do you feel like that gives your team any more confidence that you can go in and have success?
Hey, anytime you can reference a competitive memory that's a good competitive memory, you're going to do it. That's just coaching, right? They all got memories in their head, and sometimes they go to a memory you don't want them to. And we're going to reference our good competitive memories, and then we're going to reference and fix and adjust to the things that didn't go our way, But playing somebody, not just her points, it's just the ball can move through her. offenses can move through a post player. And, any coach who has that feels really good about their chances in every game.
Does Holmes' availability, does that impact your game plan? Like, do you have a plan A and a plan B? Is that something that goes into it?
No, we're going to be prepared.
Anything else for Coach? If not, Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Student athletes for Indiana will be 2:15, and then coach at 2:35, which in 2:15 is when their practice starts. Mike 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. will fire it up in 2 minutes. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Simon Scott Assembly Hall for the second round game of the NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Championship. Congratulations, Indiana, on advancing, and best of luck on Monday. A reminder that the open locker room portion for Indiana will run simultaneously with today's press conference from 2:15 to 2:45 p.m. If you are joining us in the room, please raise your hand, state your name and affiliation before asking your question. And if you are joining us on Zoom, please use the raise your hand function. First at the dais, we are joined by graduate student Grace Berger and junior Sydney Parrish. Raise your hand in the room and we'll get you a microphone.
Both the men and the women are playing, or I should say Aaron Schiffer and Ari Schiffer in Assembly Call. The men and women are both playing Miami, and it's unusual to have the same teams playing for both the men and women. How do you feel about that, about having both teams playing the same opponent?
I mean, hopefully we can get 2 dubs starting with the men tonight. We'll be cheering them on, and then we'll do our part tomorrow. So hopefully, 2 dubs against Miami would be nice.
Sydney, anything to add?
I feel like throughout the Big Ten season, obviously we play the same team, so we know the feeling of kind of playing the same team back to back, and we always support them and they support us, so it should be fun.
Talia Goodman, Hoosier Network. All right, I got to do it. Talk about your dogs a little bit. Tell us about them, their names, how old are they, what do you love about them?
Yeah, so our dogs actually met for the first time this week, and they're like the exact same size. My name is Walnut. He's a little rescue. He's very cute.
My dog, I got her in December. Her name's Chanel. She's really small. And they're just really cute. What breed is she? She's a mini golden doodle. So she's like this big and really fluffy.
I don't have a question about your dogs.
Dang it.
Last game, you guys were able to get out and run in transition a lot. Miami also ran in transition a lot in their game. How do you guys focus on getting fast breaks for yourself while not allowing them to have fast breaks the other way?
I think the biggest thing is just taking care of the ball and making our layups, taking good shots. If we can do those 2 things, then that should limit their fast break points, because we know they're a really dangerous team in transition. So I think those are 2 big priorities going into the game.
Yeah, Miami's a really athletic and fast team. So like Grace said, just taking care of the ball and making smart decisions and smart shots, and I think our game will play out itself.
Sydney, yesterday I watched, I'm sure I missed many minutes of it too, but I saw you talk to younger girls after your game and during Miami's game, taking pictures with them for probably 20, 25 minutes. How important is it for you to kind of connect with those younger girls and inspire them?
Yeah, I think it's really important. I was one of those younger girls when I was their age, so just trying to take as much time as I can and take pictures and talk to those younger girls. It makes some of their days, and it's like the highlight of the year sometimes. So I just think it's really important for us in our platform that we have to be able to just kind of share it to the younger generation. And I think it really helps also grow the game, because some girls that come are almost forced to come by their parents sometimes, and they honestly start to fall in love with basketball. And I think it starts from us and just being good role models for them.
Kevin Vera, the Hoosier Network. It's been like the first week of March Madness pretty much, but in this first week, what has been the attitude sort of like in the locker room during practice? Just how have you seen your team kind of embrace the start of the tournament?
I think just, super locked in. We realize Coach Morin says it all the time, there's a sense of urgency because it's win or go home. So, it's go time now. We got to be focused every film session, every practice, and obviously every game. Just be locked in because we know that, everybody steps up their game in March. So, we have to just be better at everything than we were in the regular season too.
Mike Merritt, Associated Press. You mentioned that Miami is fast and athletic. I'm kind of curious what was going through your mind yesterday as you watched that comeback and what you think poses the biggest danger about Miami for you.
Sydney, why don't you take that one first?
Yeah, I definitely say during their comeback they amped up the pressure a little bit, and it kind of gave me flashbacks to our Ohio State game when we were up big and kind of let up that lead. But we've been preparing for presses like them and kind of more athletic and higher pressuring teams like them. So I think that we'll handle it great, and we've been preparing for this, so we should be good.
For you guys being two of the leaders on the team, seeing Lily get her first start the other day, what was your message to her before she got that?
Grace, you want to take that one first?
Lily honestly is super mature, so there really wasn't a lot of discussion about it. We see her every day in practice, so we knew what we could expect from her and that we could depend on her to know the right defensive coverages, know what we're doing on offense, and really fill in for Mac nicely. So we see her every day in practice, so I think we were confident with having her in the starting lineup for sure.
Yeah, Lily works really hard inside and outside of practice on her game, and I kind of thought I noticed, the day before the game in practice, there was a lot of emotions and a lot going on, and I think she was a little overwhelmed at some points, which is, I think, normal sometimes when it's like you've never been in that spotlight before, especially on the stage that we're playing at right now. And I just kind of tried to take her aside, and I just told her to breathe. I was like, it's going to be okay. Like, you're playing with really good players. Like, we're not going to put you in any situations that you can't handle. And we just kind of trust her. And just the work she's put in, we trust her every day on the court, and it showed.
Your primary focus is obviously winning, and that's the most important for getting to Greenville. But how much are you looking forward? It's supposed to be 70 degrees down there. It's been winter, and we don't seem to want to shed it here, and it's been snowing. So how motivated are you, and how much of a benefit will it be to get down to some 70-degree weather if you can advance?
I mean, right now we got to focus on the huge task in front of us. We know how good of a team Miami is. We've played them in the past, and we have a lot of respect for them. We saw them yesterday, so. Warmer weather would be nice, but we're focused on tomorrow.
Despite it still being spring break yesterday, there was still Assembly Hall was loud. How important or helpful was that in the win?
Yeah, I think it's always a huge impact when we have a lot of fans there. Just them getting loud, and you can kind of feel the energy amped up when we started, making our run. And so I think tomorrow with students being back and, you don't really ever get, only on the women's side, the March Madness being played at your university. So I think it'll be really cool just seeing all the students there. And like what I heard Max say earlier that last year during this game in the second round, that they really packed the house. So I'm excited to see what our students in Assembly brings tomorrow.
Grace, anything to add?
I like Sydney kind of hit on, it's not like this everywhere for women's basketball. So we've kind of become spoiled, I think, just, night in and night out. We have a loud crowd, have thousands of people in there, filled almost to the top. So, we're super grateful for it, and it gives us an advantage for sure.
Grace, you've been through this a couple of times now, through this into the second round and trying to get the Sweet 16. Last year you were home. What kind of benefits do you get out of having those experiences already that you can use?
I think just knowing what to expect. Postseason's so much different than the regular season. I think records go out the window, and everybody really steps up their game. The little details really matter in March. So I think, I've had some teammates that have been through it too, but we also have a lot of people that haven't. So I think just relaying that message to me that, every single thing we do, being crisp with our passes, defensive coverages, talking on defense, and, it always matters, but it matters that much more in March because, there's such little things separate teams that get to the round of 32 and teams that move on to the next few rounds. So just being locked in.
Grace, I noticed yesterday was the first time you didn't have your knee brace playing. Is that helpful, or how different is it playing with the knee brace versus without, now being healthy to not need it?
Yeah. I mean, it was more just annoying because it was like big and bulky and ugly, obviously. So I just, decided that we had a couple weeks where I could kind of test it out without the knee brace. My knee feels great. So I think, I've heard that I looked like I was moving maybe a little bit faster without it on. So hopefully that stays true.
Anything else in the room for the student athletes? If you're joining us on Zoom, use the raise your hand feature. If not, ladies, thank you for joining us. You may return to the locker room for the remainder of the open locker room period. Coach Morin will join us at 2:35. That's approximately 10 minutes. We are now joined at the dais by Indiana head coach Terry Morin. Coach, if you could make an opening statement, and then we'll take questions.
Looking forward to tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, against a very, very good Miami team. This isn't the first time that we've seen Miami in our time here in Indiana. We have played them. I think we had them in the ACC Challenge one year. We played them down in the Bahamas one year, and so have a tremendous amount of respect for Katie and her staff and her teams. They're physical. They're tough. What we got to see last night against Oklahoma State was the grittiness that they had when they were down. Their will to fight back from a deficit and not just get back in the game, but win the game was very impressive. And so I think we know we have our hands full with a really good ACC opponent, and I think it sets up for a really good matchup between the two teams.
If you're joining us in the room, please raise your hand. We'll get you a mic. State your name and affiliation. And if you're joining us on Zoom, use the raise your hand function.
Ari Schiffer, an assembly call. I asked the Miami coach this yesterday. How unique is it to have both the men and women playing the same team in the second round, which doesn't normally happen?
Yeah. Unique's the right word, Ari. We're just excited that, from our perspective here in Indiana, that both, the men's and the women's team are still alive in this tournament. And, I think Hoosier Nation is excited about the tonight's matchup. And then certainly our hope is that they'll turn out and physically be here tomorrow night with our game.
Talia Goodman, Hoosier Network. You mentioned that you've got your hands full with Miami. What do you see as the biggest challenge you're going to face against them?
Well, their size first. Obviously, they're athletic. That's obvious. But, I think they're a very physical team. Their press is always, something that's what got them back in the game. I think our ability to be able to handle ourselves against the press, but they also, are a multiple defensive team. We've seen not just their 1-2-1-1 press, but their 2-2-1 press. They got a 2-3, they got a 1-3-1, and so I think they try to do a great job of keeping you off balance. Not allowing you to get comfortable. They have the ability to switch four ways. There's certainly, like I said, from their starting five to the freshmen that they bring off the bench. This is a big physical team that will pose some problems for us, on the inside.
Terry, Mike Merritt, Associated Press. I guess first of all, how is Mackenzie doing? Is the plan still to play her and start her? Is she going to be limited in any way?
Yeah, we just got off the floor half hour ago or so. She was, in practice. We did pull her out early just because she had gotten a lot of reps in today, and so she looks good. I think she feels great. She did not want to be pulled out, but we did that just to manage her. Sometimes we have to do that with these young guys, but I think by all accounts right now she's more than ready. To be in the lineup tomorrow night and see playing time. Now, whether that will be limited, probably. But we're prepared for that. I thought the way Lily and AG, how they played last night gave them some really good experience, but also minutes. They got their feet wet. So I would anticipate knowing Mac the way I know Mac. I mean, it's going to take her a minute to sort of get her legs under her, just like it took us yesterday, a good quarter, to get finally into the game.
Is the injury worse than you thought initially, or is it about what you expected?
It's just a reoccurring injury that she's had since she's been before Indiana. And so it's just one of those, injuries that, she lands a certain way, she tweaked it. And a lot of this has just been precautionary, we are hoping that, we have goals for this tournament, and so as much as we can protect Mac and allow her to take some reps off, we're trying to take advantage of that. And she's also experienced and a veteran, right? So where some of those kids like the Lilies and the Lexi Bargesers and the Yardens and the Hennas, those kids need reps. They need actual reps. Mackenzie's a little bit different in the sense that she's had a lot of reps in her time here.
And lastly, you mentioned the physical play that Miami has, the pressure. How would Mackenzie help in those situations?
Well, again, she gives us, I think she, and rightfully so, brings a lot of attention, to her low block presence, and so, she's been double teamed throughout the season. We anticipate that happening with Miami. And again, this is pure guess and just watching them and prepping for them. But, she is become a great facilitator for us. But, her ability to run the floor, her ability to make moves around the rim, she's our leading scorer. So she is a threat, and she does open things up for us on the outside when she's on the inside. So, having her, in the mix tomorrow will be big.
Kevin Bear of the Hoosier Network, you kind of just hinted at it a little bit earlier, but with Mackenzie's injury, have you kind of talked with your staff about how you're going to manage minutes moving in this game and possibly moving forward with Mackenzie, with Lily, and with Alyssa?
Oh, I think we're always mindful. I think we just, it's more of an eye test for us of just, we know when Mac, has hit her point where she's fatigued and tired and needs to come out. And so I think it's just, us being able to manage that, but also, we're aware of when, but it could happen. She probably will require, especially tomorrow night, because she hasn't been up and down the floor the way the rest of these guys have been for the last week or so. I would imagine that the combination of the excitement of being back out on the floor and her lack of reps up and down will probably require us to get her out a little bit sooner than normal.
Matt Seabury, Indiana Daily student. You've talked all season about wanting to really win the game in transition and succeed and get those fast break opportunities, and you certainly were able to do that yesterday. Miami was also obviously able to do that yesterday in their game. How do you focus on still allowing your team to get out and get those transition opportunities without allowing Miami to do it on the other end?
Well, I think a couple things. I always tell the kids that we are who we are. We're a team that likes to push the pace, and so we won't change our our identity for that purpose. But I think two things have to happen. One, you have to have great shot selection. And the second thing, you can't have live ball turnovers against a team like Miami that likes to run the way we do, because you're automatically going to be at a disadvantage if you do those two things. And so, making sure that we get the shot that we want, high percentage, making sure that we sprint back and we're protecting the rim, make sure we have somebody sprinting to the ball, all of the things that we talk about with our transition defense. Are going to matter tomorrow. But, when you're facing a team like Miami, those are the two keys on the board. We got to have great shots. Selection has to be important, but we can't turn that thing over in a live ball situation.
Coach, I know we've kind of talked about this before, but with it being the last game of an Assembly Hall to have these huge numbers of fans, you've gone from when you started, you could get a parking spot in the front, get there at the last minute, you have 1,000 fans. Now you're drawing 10,000 a night. You're having to park all the way in the white lot at the stadium. So can you talk about just the relationship you've built with the community and how grateful you are to the fans?
It's been a true blessing, I think, for all of us. And, nobody is... Well, first of all, it's these kids deserve that, but we are grateful that this community the last four or 5 years have really fallen in love with women's basketball, and it just hasn't been Bloomington. It has been the surrounding. We get folks from Indianapolis, Evansville, Vincennes that want to come and support us, and so. this is sort of what we have dreamt about, is wanting support, attention for our basketball team. And it's, there's no secret to it. Fans are going to come out and support teams that win and have success, and we've been able to do that. And so I'm not surprised by it. I think we're just more. We sit here and we're really grateful. It's a like I said, it's a great blessing to have that people in the stands that bring us so much energy and enthusiasm. And they're smart. They know when we need them, and so they have been so instrumental in the build for sure.
We have time for a couple more questions.
Brian Henson with the Indianapolis Star. With the girls coming off the bench and just their readiness to perform in those situations, Lily yesterday being a perfect example, how do you go about preparing them for that moment during practice and ensuring that they're ready to maximize that time?
It's real easy. It's just reps. I mean, they all get them. That's why I think I said that yesterday about Lily and even AG. We have a great practice squad that we can't use right now, but that we've used all season long, which most teams do, and they really allow us to be able to, the benefit is being able to not only play your starters together, but also that second unit, and then you can intermix, when we go to our bench and put different lineups out there. They all get about the same number of reps throughout practice, and sometimes after games when our starters have played more minutes, we're very intentional that next day about making sure that those subs, the second unit as we call them, or the white squad, we make sure that they're getting up and down more reps. And so, that's really, it's just being mindful, I think, of making sure that, one, they stay in shape, two, they stay ready. But this is a group that has continued to come in every day and do extra also. And so, that's sort of been, who we've become and morphed into when Allie Patberg was here, and Brenna Wise, that we were going to be this team that was going to do more than what was required. And so this team has really taken on their personalities, but now it's almost like you're an outlier if you're not in the gym extra doing more, which has been really cool to watch.
I asked Grace and Sydney this question earlier, but kind of with it being the first week of the tournament, what is the attitude that you've seen from your team during practice in the locker room, and is there kind of somebody that's kind of stood up and kind of been a bigger voice since the start?
I don't think so. I mean, I think there's there's an urgency with this team. I think. Again, they're old, they're vets, they're experienced. They understand what happens if we don't show up and do the things that we need to do to win the game. They're all very, very much aware that their season, two things are going to happen. It's either going to be over or you're going to advance. And, I think when you look at it that way, and I think this is how they look at it, there's a different level of not just focus, but almost like a desperation. Like, we got to get this right because this is, our goal is to be able to advance in this tournament.
Any other questions for Coach?
Right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Coach.